What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, and welcome back to the morning after show. Fulham 0, Tottenham 1. In, not the most vintage performance, but we got the job done. 3 points, job done, and we move on to Crystal Palace this weekend. And if you're new around here, please scroll down, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and let's get straight into it.
Yeah, I thought it was a really dogged display yesterday, especially in the second half. I thought first half we played quite well, and I thought we created a lot of chances. We probably should have been more than a goal up, to be honest, after that first half. But Fulham really came back into it second half. They really played really well, and especially I would say for the first 25 minutes of that second half. Sorry, they would have felt very, very unlucky. They didn't get an equaliser, especially the VAR call. A couple of chances which Hugo made a save. And we rode our luck a bit in that period. But I think once Lamela came on, once Mourinho made a couple of changes, we did gain a bit of control back, I would say. And I thought for the last 15 minutes, it wasn't as bad as it was for the opening 25, 30 mints. So that's a bit of a consolation. But yeah, those 25 minutes were not good, to say the least.
It really, yeah, I mean, that's completely true. But first of all, let's wish a happy birthday to Ahad Kuram in the chat today. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
But yeah, look, I want you guys to tag us on Twitter and we'll respond to any of the tweets and we'll have a look at the papers today. We'll delve deep into what happened yesterday. Let's start off talking about that VAR decision.
Yeah.
Because
in fact, I think I've got a picture of it here.
Extremely harsh in my opinion. I know it's letter of the law and all that, but it's just extremely harsh, wasn't it?
Let's get this tweet up. I can even see it here. So here we go. It says, this is from a Palace fan actually tweeting it last night. He said, this being given handball is up there with the worst decision of the season so far. And that's saying something in this, you can read that of a campaign. It could well end up relegating Fulham to total shambles. Obviously, this is this clearance here. You can see Sanchez cleared the ball right into Lemina's hand there. And look, the rule's pretty clear, isn't it? I think looking at it, you can't say it was debatable in terms of if it should have been ruled out. But whether you agree with the rule, that's something else.
Yeah, look, I think the rules need to be looked at because
we had the same thing with Lucas Moura last year, didn't we?
We did, and we all said that was a joke then. Mm-hmm. And you know what I mean. The rules need to
very similar to Llorente's one, isn't it?
The rules need to be looked at because there's nothing they can do. His hands are completely by his side, and it just hits him in the arm. He knows nothing about it. There's nothing he can do. So, in my opinion, we got away with one, and the rules need to be looked at.
We did get away with one in terms of that goal. I think that goal when we all played football growing up, and we all can kind of tell what handball is what ball to hand is. I mean, by every definition, that's ball to hand, isn't it?
Agreed.
Like you can't say that's handball. His hand doesn't go anywhere, doesn't move anywhere near towards the ball. In fact, it's completely by his side. It couldn't be any more by his side than it is. But unfortunately, they have this rule now that if it's involved in an attacking phase, that it's automatic ruled out.
Even the case if you've got your arms behind your back,
correct.
And suddenly, if it goes behind your back and it hits your hand, it's a handball.
Irrelevant. It doesn't matter It doesn't matter the situation. If it hits your hand in an attacking phase, then it's no goal. So that's the rule, and we did get away with it, but we got lucky. But it is what it is. Like it's a very it was similar to Llorente's one. Llorente's one counted. But that was before the rule came in. Now the rule's implemented, and this one's been ruled out. And I think they obviously, if I was a Fulham fan, I'd definitely feel hard done by. But it's unfortunate. It's just one of those things. Scott Parker, actually, I don't know if you saw his quotes last night. Very passionate.
I saw him saying we need a bit of common sense in football.
He said, talking about the rule, he said, I think the rule is the rule, but I think it's crazy. I'm complaining about the rule. We want it to be the most entertaining league in the world with goals. I don't know what more Lamina can do. We just need common sense. We are trying to make football so pure and sterile. It's becoming unrealistic. We want to see goals and excitement, but I'm sorry, VAR is killing every part of that. You are losing raw emotions of the game, the raw emotions that we absolutely love. And then he went on to say, did he go on? Oh no, that was it pretty much. That was pretty much what he said. So he's not happy about VAR. He's not happy with the whole situation. I think a lot of that, his quotes, what I can read into it, a lot of it is clearly down to frustration that's boiling over after another result goes by him, because another game they played well. We've said it a lot of times this season with Fulham. They've played well many times and not got results, and it happened exactly the same yesterday. So he's probably very, very frustrated. But I get his point in terms of goals, you are losing it a bit in terms of whether you can celebrate or not. We're actually sitting at home. We have a kind of a bit of a not privilege, but in terms of when we're in the stands, right, you don't see replays. You don't see what's going on. You're just waiting. You don't know. When we're at home, we can see exactly what's going on. You can see what they're looking at, what they're measuring. If it's offside, handball, you can see what they're looking at.
Yeah.
But when you're in the ground, you're completely in the dark. You don't know what's going on, especially in the stands. It can be a bad situation again.
Were they playing replays on the big screens at one stage?
Not during the incident, only after the incident.
Right.
After the incident's happened. So we don't know what's going on. A lot of the time, it gets ruled out, and we don't know what's happened.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, I think the rule does need to be looked at, like many other things. But
then again, if a goal goes in after hitting your hand, even if it's accidental, should that count? Do you want that to count?
Sorry, say that again?
If a goal goes in and it hits your hand, even accidentally, do you want that to count?
I think it all depends. I think that if a goal goes in, it's a difficult one, isn't it? It's really
That's why
difficult.
they brought in this rule, because they had, for example, I remember a couple of seasons ago, Willy Bolly, the cross came in and he went to head it, he missed it and it hit his hand and basically went on off his hand, completely accidental because his eyes were on the ball. But I don't think there was any VAR in that season, and he counted basically. The goal counted, and the man think these things should count. I'm kind of of the opinion that shouldn't count, because I don't think a goal scored with your hand should count in the game of football. But when it leads to situations like this, it's difficult. It's quite nuanced.
Yeah.
It's quite
do you think it can only be what? Do you think it can only be one way or another? Like you're talking about that Willy Bolly goal and the goal and the goal that didn't stand yesterday. Do you reckon are they exactly the same situations?
They're not the same. They're not the same
in terms of the ruling.
In terms of the ruling, it is, because that's what they've decided. They decided anything with the hand is ruled out, anything leading to the goal. And then also, but what I don't understand, I don't understand the change in the ruling there.
I don't know, man. The whole VAR and football ruling.
I think the whole handball thing
is
completely
baffles me. Nobody knows the actual rules 100%. You can't tell me anyone knows the rules 100%.
I think in terms of that situation they do, but I think in terms of situations where it's handball in the box for a penalty, no one knows. I don't know. I think it's pot luck at this point whether you get it or you don't get it, because I think referees are so confused about what is handball and what isn't. Your body and it hits your hand as a penalty. Then they change it to like, oh, it depends on your natural position. It depends what situation you're in now. And it's very subjective. Now it's just pot luck. It's just completely luck.
The whole natural position thing is a bit of a farce as well. It's like, what is a natural? Like one person's natural position will be like that, another person's will be like that. You know what I mean? It all depends on your personal
how you defend.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know how you change the rule in terms of attacking phases, because I kind of agree with the rule that you don't want goals scored leading from handballs, but you also don't want situations where, like yesterday, where it's completely out of the player's control, or Lucas Moura's situation where that just wasn't a handball against Lucas Moura, because there's nothing he could have done. So I don't know. It's a difficult one. I can understand the confusion and the frustration. I don't know how they fix it. I don't know what they do to kind of change the rule that can suit everyone.
But I do feel like what Scott Parker said, that a bit of common sense does need to prevail at some point, because
everyone can see in the common sense that's not a handball.
Exactly. So I mean, with the Willy Bolly you're talking about, if he heads it and it goes in off his hand, then I think that should be disallowed, because he misses the header. He absolutely misses the header, and then it hits his hand. So I mean, I know it's not intentional, but if he misses the header and it hits his hand and it goes in, surely that's got to be disallowed. But if the one that happens yesterday, he's not exactly going to header it, it just hits him in the arm, I can see why it's disallowed. Look, I don't know. I mean, I'm confusing myself here.
I know it's it's a difficult situation, because you don't want handballs or balls that having touched the hand leading to goals. Like it's not a good situation. It doesn't feel right for that to be allowed.
But the one yesterday, I think, is a different case, obviously, to the Willy Bolly one or some other ones we've seen this season, because literally his hands are right by his side. He can't do anything about it. Literally, he can't do anything about it. At least the Willy Bolly one, he goes for the header and it misses, so it's a mistake that he misses the header and it hits his hand.
What about yesterday if it deflected straight off his hand and goes straight in?
What, if his hand's like that? I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, But again, it's like pinball. It's like, what can he do? At least with the Willy Bolly one, he's actually going for the header, but he misses it. So it's actually his mistake to miss the header, and then it hits his hand.
I know. And just like Lucas Moura, he got fouled, and because he got fouled, he handballed it.
Yeah.
And or touched his hand.
That one was a complete farce because he's falling over.
And they kick it against him.
And they kick it against his falling hand.
And after they foul him.
Yeah.
So like, literally, there's like, they couldn't have been construed in a more unjust way, that goal last season. And so I understand that. But look, I understand Scott Parker's frustration. I feel for him because he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
And he got, and unfortunately, we got away with that one yesterday.
Shall we have a look at some of the headlines?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. What have we got here? We got the Mirror, and the first.
Well,
headline.
let's just read this super chat quickly. Mintu Lee, back
Go
in
on,
it.
Mintu Lee. Big up
Says,
yourself.
VAR gives and VAR takes. We also had it with Dyer versus Newcastle and Sissoko, and against Mane in the final. It's fair when it's not fair at all. It's fair when it's not fair for all. Right. I guess is it? Does this mean not fair for everyone? Does that mean it's fair? But I understand what you're saying. You're right. I think it swings around about. Sometimes it goes through, sometimes it doesn't. But it's yeah. I mean, it's difficult. Blanket application would solve these issues. There's nothing called hand to ball. Everything should be handball. No, I don't. I disagree with that. Because then you're going to have situations where, which we already have I think, where wingers are attacking fullbacks and they're just aiming for the hand in the box. They just see the hand, they just aim for it.
We've seen that so much.
We've seen it. I think Mane did that against Sissoko. I think he did that. I think it's very clear now when you look at the replay. And that's not a situation where you want, and that should be given penalties. So yeah, anyway.
Let's look at the Daily Mirror. The big headline is Fab 4-1, Drab VAR 0. And
Fab 4-1, Drab VAR 0.
And then it goes on to say Jose's star quartet escaped with a lucky win. Jose Mourinho finally unleashed his Fab 4, and yet the talking point was a VAR. And they claim Dele Alli man of the match yesterday.
Dele Alli man of the match. I think he played well. I don't know if he was man of the match, but I think given that it was his first start since the opening day of the season, I thought he did link up quite well with the front four.
I was impressed with him. I think when you look at the front four
first
yesterday,
half, I was
Kane, Son, Ali, and Bale. I think Ali was probably the best out of the four. Maybe Son. You could argue.
I reckon Son was the best, but I think Ali. I think first half he was
better
good.
than Bale and Kane. That's for sure.
Yeah, he was. First half he was good. What I was really impressed with Ali, he was winning a lot of tackles inside the opposition half, and he was getting a lot of interceptions, and that was really good. And obviously he was involved with the goal. He involved in the build up to the goal, not just the finish as well. And he had a few other good moments. But I think second half he did tire quite quickly.
Yeah.
That's why he got taken off.
With the amount of football he's been playing.
But if he can keep playing like that, yeah, it'd be good to have him as another option again.
Let's have a look at the player ratings that the Mirror have given. Let's see how wrong they are. Laurie 7.
Okay.
Doherty 6. Sanchez 6. Alderweireld 6. Davis 6. Ndombele 7. Højbjerg 7. Bale 7. Ali 7. Son 6. And Kane 7. They're literally just writing random, just 6 or 7s basically.
Literally, they're not giving much thought to it.
Sissoko 6. Moura 6. And yeah, Dele Alli man of the match.
Interesting. Okay.
And when you look at Fulham's next 5 games, bloody hell.
Tough.
Liverpool away, City at home, Leeds at home, Villa away, and Wolves at home.
They need to start getting points, man.
Yeah.
Very, very tough. You know, I think West Brom have Newcastle on the weekend. That's a very big game for West Brom. They can get
I know Newcastle got Fulham last game of the season.
Oh, wow. Could be a relegation playoff. But if West Brom win that, only 6 points off Newcastle, it's actually not too bad.
So it's West Brom Newcastle
on the weekend.
Wow.
I think
Big Sam will love to do one over.
Watching, I saw the highlights yesterday. The West Brom game. They should have definitely got something out of that game. They got really unlucky.
Let's talk about Davinson Sanchez.
Yep.
Because you know he's got a lot of talking points of Davinson over the last couple of all season to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But in the last couple of games, everyone's talking about him in a positive manner. Finally.
Mm-hmm. Deservedly so, in my opinion.
Yeah, look, he's had an awful ride in the last couple of years, that's for sure.
Especially this season, he's come up for a lot of criticism.
Yeah, and rightly so. So Burnley game puts in a great performance, albeit wasn't really tested that much. Let's be honest about that. but he was called off everything asked of him. He done really well against Burnley. Yesterday in the game, I thought, again, put in a really good display. But I know a lot of people kind of like brushing off that VAR decision because Sanchez did make a really bad error. And if it doesn't hit his hand, everyone's going to be berating Sanchez after this game.
Should have cleared his lines.
So, I mean, everyone's commending Sanchez for his performance yesterday, but I'm kind of looking at it and being like, but he still made that error. He still made that error. And it's also a really bad error in a pivotal part of the game where if Fulham score that goal, we probably don't go on to win that game. So he and us are extremely lucky that, his awful clearance hit his arm.
We are lucky, but there was nothing lucky about his performance. So I think he was really dominant against Madger. I think Madger really struggled against him. I know he got that goal, but I know we've said it a million times with Dyer and Sanchez this season. They've had good games, then one mistake ruins it. But at least the mistake yesterday, he got away with it. It was a really bad error, but he did have a very good game overall. So I'm not gonna look. We've bashed him enough this season, I guess, from my point of view, that I'm going to just let this one slide, basically.
It's like I'm not looking to bash Sanchez. I'm just looking to see what's actually going on in this football game. And it's the same thing that we keep saying week in, week out with players like Sanchez and Dyer. Like you said, playing well for 90 minutes, and it's that one mistake that can cost us the points. And that's exactly what happened yesterday.
It was.
He was just lucky that he didn't cost us the points.
It was, but at least now it's two very good, from my point of view, it's good performances in a row, and he needs to build on that. There's no point focusing on the mistake. There's there's more use focusing on the good aspects of what he's done the last two games, and hopefully he can continue in that vein instead of just saying you made a mistake again, even though it didn't count, and we're going to criticise you for that.
But the thing is, if that goal is allowed and we draw the game 1-1, everyone's berating him.
Yeah, but it wasn't allowed.
It was just extremely lucky, though.
Yeah, but it is. Look, you get luck sometimes, and we got lucky yesterday. And I would rather focus on his good aspects he gave to us yesterday than that one mistake he made, which ultimately he got away with, and he did get away with it. Rodon on his debut against Chelsea made that mistake. He got away with it, and he actually got the clean sheet. And in the end, you can say it was a good performance. But if that goes in, you say he made a mistake. It happens all the time in football, and. If he was making a few mistakes yesterday and he got away with all of them, I'll probably say, look, had a bad game and he got away with it. But yesterday he made one mistake. It didn't cost us, luckily, and other than that, he had a very good performance. So I think it's important especially when Sanchez, who's clearly had a bad case when it comes to confidence this season. It's important to build his confidence now and try and we need him in this kind of form from now to the end of the season. So I think we should try and build his confidence instead of focusing on one mistake which he made during the game.
All right, no, that's completely fair enough, and I completely agree with you. We do need to build this guy's confidence because he's clearly been lacking in it this season. But the last two games are a massive step in the right direction. I'm not going to lie. It was just that little blot on his performance yesterday.
It was, and it was annoying. But look, at the end of the day, we got away with it. So you got to say, it is what it is, and you just got to focus on the positive. Is Aurier coming back for the Palace game? We'll find out later today. But I guess so. I don't think he's injured. I hope not. Anyway,
well, we haven't heard anything about him being injured, but we need him. We need him this weekend, man.
You never know. Could have just you never know, do you? Because he wasn't in the squad, was he? But I think he should be okay. I haven't heard anything. Yeah, we need him. We definitely need him, and we definitely need him for the rest of the season for sure.
Do you think it was wrong or bad move or wrong from Jose to start the two fullbacks together yesterday?
Look, at the end of the day, we won, but I think it was a risk. It was definitely a risk. When I looked at the lineup and I saw them both, and I was worried, and I had a right to be worried because I told you before the game that I remember in our preview I was saying this Fulham side is very physical. They're very they've got a lot of pace in that team. And I remember going through that team. I was like, I don't really see a weakness in terms of physicality in that lineup. And those fullbacks, Robinson and Aina, especially Robinson, night and day to what Burnley can offer in those positions. For example,
take Robinson at Spurs?
Yeah, I would. I think he's a really good player. I'm a really big fan of him. I don't know. I think they bought him for 15 million or something. So he'll probably cost at least 30.
He's a left back, right?
Yeah. He would be. I like him. I think obviously we've got Sessignon coming back, but I think he's really good.
Let's offer them a swap deal for Ben Davis.
Yeah, I'll take that. Well, Fulham stay up.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take that for sure. But Doherty and Davis had their work out. Completely had their work out. Cavallero, Lookman, Robinson and Aina.
Lookman was a thorn in our side.
They dominated those wing areas, especially in the second half. I thought in the first half, actually, Doherty especially was actually pressing high up the pitch really well, and he was contributing well to the to us winning a lot of possession up the pitch, and that's why we're getting a lot of good positions. But he dropped a lot deeper in the second half, and he really struggled. And I think first of all he wasn't helped because Bale wasn't helping him out as much as Lucas did when he came on. And so when Bale was on the pitch, Robinson literally just had a free rein on that left-hand side. He just kept bombing time after time. I think in the first half, Bale could kind of cope with the press, but he couldn't in the second half. He couldn't do it in the second half. So that happened, and that was bad. When Lucas came on, we had a bit more of a grip on it, but they still were getting in behind too much. And I did think it was wrong of him to start both of them, to be honest. I wouldn't have done it. I think if you're going to rest one, just do one or the other. I don't think you do both in that kind of game. But he was lucky to get away with it, I think, yesterday in that kind of sense. But I thought in the end, apart from that 25-minute spell, I thought we did defend fairly well.
Yeah. Let's keep going to the papers. And also, I just want to let you guys know, if you want us to react to some of your tweets, then tweet us.
They're all coming through, actually.
At WeAreTottenhamTV. And also, please scroll down, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Costs you absolutely nothing. Really helps us with the algorithms.
Helen Brick says, I've liked it.
All right. Well,
come on, Helen. Big up, Helen.
Let's have a look at the Independent. And the headline here from Kevin Garside is, common sense has been lost. Layman's beaten Parker.
Do you think, actually, in terms of that, VAR has that's because of VAR why common sense has been lost?
Yes.
Because used to before, when referees had complete control over the decision and had complete control over the subjectivity of the decision, they look at a situation and they could kind of know what's happened, and they can make their own judgment in terms of whether it feels an offence or not. But now, because of VAR, that kind of common sense aspect has completely gone out of it, because the VAR's in their rule saying, well, the rule says this, so you have to do this. There's no option.
Yeah.
Whereas before there was like, oh, he's off balance or something, or he was tripped before, and that's why, or ball to hand, and that kind of stuff. And they can't do that anymore.
Yeah, I do think that. But on the flip side of it, I do think VAR has improved the game in terms of getting the right decision more times than not. But
it's improved the decision making. Has it improved the spectacle of the game?
Has it improved the spectacle of the game? I don't know. But I think that more right decisions are coming. That's for sure.
I agree with that.
But I think that common sense has been lost a bit, because they're just too nitpicky at these decisions, and like you say, like people are offside by a millimetre, by a toenail, and the ball to hand thing, and handballs in the box. So I think that common sense has been lost a bit. So I think they need to look at it in terms of a way how to get the common sense back. But I do think VAR is a good thing. I just think the rules need to be refined a bit.
Yeah, I think it's not the technology, it's just how we use it.
I'm a fan of VAR. I know people are like, oh, do this to VAR, do that to VAR, but I'm a fan of VAR. And the reason I'm a fan of VAR is because I think that they're getting more right decisions. I just think the rulings and the people implementing it need to change.
Yeah, I think that's why I agree with that. I think it's the people running it. It's not necessarily the technology itself that's the problem. And I think the technology can be used, and I think it's cleared up a lot of really bad errors, which fans would have been very angry about if they were allowed. Clear and obvious errors have also been picked up, but I think when it gets too forensic, that's when people have a problem with it. When they're slowing down for like 10 times, you're staring to see if this is offside, or if that's handball, or if that's this, and has that guy had slightly touched this guy's ankle, and all these things. Like
drawing these lines to see if a toenail is offside or stuff. I hate that. That is not football.
No,
that
it's
is not football.
And what
that
you
is not why the offside rule was brought in.
And they used to draw a line, right? When you looked at a replay, they used to just draw a line straight down, and they would go, yeah, it's level.
What
He's
happened
level.
to clear
There's
daylight?
no level.
What happened to clear daylight between the defender and the attacker?
There's no such thing as level anymore. You can't be level. It's impossible.
But surely, when I was growing up, the rule of offside was there had to be clear daylight between the defender and the attacker.
Yeah.
But where's that gone?
No, it doesn't count anymore because it's just me. And now it's just if you're a bit offside, you're offside.
It's ridiculous.
Which I hate that rule. I absolutely hate the offsides, and I hate that level is now offside pretty much. You can't really be level. If you look level, you're like 95% of the time you're going to be offside.
Yeah.
Which is the most frustrating thing. Whereas before it was onside. So it's kind of like a different game almost in that sense. When you can't be that close, it's definitely advantage of defenders in that
Ed
one.
C comments, well, who defines the clear daylight then?
Yes, it's a good question. I think there should be. I just think without VAR, right? Without VAR, it makes sense that that the rules would be if any part of you is offside, you're offside. Because without VAR, when you're just a linesman eyesight, right? Because a linesman in that sense has to look at two places at once to determine whether you're offside or not. So it's very, very hard for the linesman to tell whether one part of you is onside or if there's clear daylight or stuff. So it's just very easy for a linesman to see if any part of you is offside. I'm just going to give offside because I can't really look at two places at once. It's very hard to determine if you're offside or not. So if I can see that you're ahead of the defender, I'm just going to put my flag up. But now with VAR, it doesn't make as much sense for that to be the case because the spirit of the rule was to stop goal hanging. It was to stop you from just basically waiting up front for the ball and people lumping it towards you, and to add a bit of cleverness. But when you're literally level with the defender and you're like a toenail offside, that's not what the rule was brought in for. That's not the spirit of the rule. So that doesn't make sense. It only makes sense when there was no VAR. So now there's VAR. It's kind of changed it a bit, and I'm not sure what to do about that.
Got a few comments here. Brandon Price says clear daylight should be being half a yard or more ahead of the defender.
Half a yard or more. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind that.
And then Wolf Mauler says, sick and tired of VAR, hate the offsides. Your feet can be onside, but your eyelash or the tip of your nose puts it offside. It's rubbish.
How many times have we looked at a replay initially and like, I was definitely onside, like there's no chance, and then like what are we waiting for? And then you look, and then they're drawing the lines. You can see his like shoulder is because he's leaning forward. His shoulder's actually offside, and even though his feet was like behind the defender, and you're like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. This is all ridiculous. Yeah. Let's look at some tweets though, because they have been flying in. We'll look first. Eric Dyer has tweeted in. Champion Cobra says, yeah,
he's getting bored on the bench.
He says, yeah, 3 points, but poor performance. This is definitely Eric Dyer, isn't it? And I don't understand why we have changed the tactics and played Park the Bus again. And also, between Reguilon and Aurier versus Doherty and Davies, there's such a difference. But I think our two centre-half wasn't the best performers. I don't think it was intentional yesterday that we went so defensive in that second half. I just think Fulham gained control of the game. I thought Dele, Bale and Ndombele really couldn't hold up the pressure. They were doing really well in the first half. And once they couldn't hold up that press, Fulham were able to break the lines time after time after time. And then with Doherty and Davis in the back line, they obviously couldn't handle it without the protection of the front players. And so that's why we got completely overrun for those first 25 minutes. And in credit to Jose, maybe he could have done it quicker, to be honest, but he did change it, and I thought it wasn't as bad after he made the changes.
Yeah, I thought Lamela did add something to the game, big time.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I don't think it was a clear tactic to just sit so deep. I think we had to because of what Fulham were doing. Yeah,
and also, yeah. And I think we needed that extra man in midfield yesterday because Højbjerg and Ndombele in that second half just got completely overrun.
But you could see once we made the changes, we were able to put a bit more. We weren't pressing as well in the first half, but we were able to press a bit more than we were in the first 25 minutes.
That was like the last 15 minutes. We started coming back into the game.
Exactly.
Which
probably won us the game, that game gained control back.
Yeah, I agree. I just felt like you said, it should have been done a bit earlier.
Probably should have done
a lot earlier.
Zach says
everyone could see from 45 minute to 75 minute we were getting completely shot on.
We were, and it was kind of wave after wave at one point.
It was,
and it pretty much that goal broke it.
We had two backs of four. They were just coming at us.
It was pretty much that goal that kind of decided for Jose. I think that we had to definitely change it. Tanganga's better than Doherty as a right back in a flat back four, says Zach.
Could be right, to be honest.
Yeah, I think defensively. Yeah, I think you are probably right. The IDS says not our best performance by a long way. Was expecting a bit more from that front four, but these are the games where we have dropped so many points this season. Don't like the way we sat back in the second half, but good to get the 3 points. Yeah, that's definitely right, and I agree. We've seen us so many times this season. Is that our first 1-0 of the season win? Have we won 1-0?
No, we have. West Brom, we won 1-0.
West Brom and Burnley, we've won 1-0
Burnley.
both those games. So 2 1-0s.
West Brom, Burnley, Fulham.
Yeah, 3-1. I'm saying that was
Three,
our third 1-0. But remember, like more often than not, it's happened more times that we've given up the 1-0 lead than.
That's it's been 3 times, but it should have been a lot more.
Yeah, because West Brom, Palace,
Newcastle.
Wolves, Fulham, Newcastle, 4 times we had that 1-0 lead and we gave it up those 4 times. So it's actually more often. It's more likely that we'll have a 1-0 lead and give it away than keep the 1-0 lead at this point. This is interesting. A few people tagged me in this. I hope that you have reacted to this post. So frustrating from ESPN. This is their news
I saw
feed.
this.
Basically, after Spurs win yesterday, their headline was "Lack of quality in Tottenham Fulham, a new low." Was it a new low yesterday for Spurs?
Why do ESPN love shit?
They hate
Spurs?
us.
Why do they hate us so much?
I don't understand this. Oh man, I was watching ESPN after we won 4-0 against Burnley. Sorry, and they were talking about Bale, and they were just shitting on him. They were just shitting on him after that performance yesterday. They're like, if you're relying on Bale to improve your season, then you're deluded or something. I'm like, oh my god. I mean, I know we shouldn't be relying on him, but like the way they're just talking around, the disrespect was palpable, and I was really frustrated.
This
with
is supposed
ESPN
to be like mainstream media
in the US. They're really is really weird. Wolf Mallow with the super chat. He says, great content as ever, lads. Keep up the good work. Hope the channel continues to grow. Up Tottenham TV. Big up, Wolf Mauler.
Big up, Wolf Mauler. Come on, mate.
And also from Paul Gregory says, even if you say half a yard for offside rule, it will still be measured in case you are over half a yard. It will always be measured. Yeah, I know what he means, because even if you say half a yard, like those inches will still matter. Just depends where the inches are. But I think it's better. I think it's more palatable if you see someone half a yard offside, to say, okay, that's clearly offside. Whereas if he's level and then he's like an inch off, that's like, well, that's not really offside, is it?
Let's just have a look at the headlines in The Guardian. This one says, Fulham rue bad luck after Tottenham's front four misfire. I mean, were you disappointed with the front four?
No, I think not in the first half anyway. Second half, yeah. But in the first half, I thought they linked up really well. I thought in the transitions, we did really well to get it to the front players in really dangerous areas. And we should have been more than a goal up. You think of the Kane chance we had, which he definitely should have put that away.
Kane wasteful.
Wasteful Kane. You think about the Son as well. I remember Dele played a really nice cross to the back post and Son had a header. He should have put that one at least on target. I remember Bale had a few openings as well. So I think we were disappointed. We were probably disappointed not to have been more than a goal up at half time. But yeah, in the second half, we did drop off a bit, and a lot actually, you would say. And Fulham stepped it up, and I was disappointed they couldn't maintain those levels that they had in the first half. But I wouldn't say they misfired. I thought they linked up quite well, and it was very encouraging in that sense. Considering it was the first time they've all played together in the Premier League this season, right? From the start, I thought they did okay, and I think it was encouraging, and I want to see more of it.
I would say I liked the Bale and Dele performance, but Son and Dele performance. I wasn't so impressed with Kane and Bale.
I think as a four they linked up pretty well though. I thought they did all right.
I'm talking individually.
Individually, I agree, but I think as a four, I think you could definitely see a lot of potential there, for me anyway. Hugo Katz on the Twitter says, "Morning lads, just want to get your insight into why you think we seem to drop off second half, in brackets always. I can't tell whether Jose is telling them to go into a low block or whether it's something the players naturally revert to. Something has to change." I don't think it's always. I mean, it is quite common, but I think, look at the West Ham game. It was the second half we were much better than we were in the first half, so it was a different situation.
The majority of times he's saying, which is fair.
I would say I would say is it majority. I don't know. It depends on the game. It depends on the game. I think David Harris had it spot on. He said we never play for 45 minutes, and that's pretty much spot on. I think it's either the first half or the second half we usually play well.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's specifically a second half problem, but I do think it's a 1 half problem.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I would say it's usually because sometimes we play really well in the first half and drop off. Sometimes we play really badly in the first half and then come back into it second half.
Yeah.
And it's happened a lot this season. And I think it's just. I think it's a squad management issue. I think at this moment we're trying to play this pressing game, but I don't think these players are up to it, and they're clearly only up to it in the 1 half. That's what we've seen. I think we had that problem under Pochettino, and we have it now. That the team's pressing. We in terms of the players that we don't have the right profile to play this really high intensity press, which a lot of teams play this season.
Well, out of the lineup yesterday, who doesn't have that profile?
Davis, Dyer, Dele, Bale, and
Dyer didn't play yesterday.
Sorry, Davis, Doherty. I meant Doherty, not Dyer. So there's definitely the 2 fullbacks. I would say Dele, Bale, not for 90 minutes. Don't have that.
I actually thought Dele was pressing well yesterday.
He was for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Bale. I'm talking about to keep that pressure up for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Those players. I would even say in Ndombele, maybe he does. Some games, but I don't think he can do that 3 games in a week completely for 90 minutes at the moment. Anyway, he did all right for 45, but then again he also tired. So I think I think for those kind of players, it was difficult for them. It was difficult for them to keep up that kind of pressing for the whole 90 minutes. That's why there was a big drop off. And I think the opposition as well, they're obviously taking more risks. They're flying forward a bit more. They weren't holding back as much, and they took the game to us. And that's when you have to run even more than you did in the first half, and that's where we really came unstuck until we made some changes. So that's I don't know. I feel like the profile of this squad is difficult at the moment to manage, and I think when we got our first 11 out there, Aurier, Reguilon, Toby, Sanchez, and Ndombele, Højbjerg, when you've got the front 4. Maybe with Dele and Bale together, it's difficult to keep out for 90 minutes. When you probably need one of Bergwijn, Lucas, or Lamela in there to kind of combat that. Then I think we can be okay. But when we're using a lot of the fringe players, then the pressing game is hard to keep up. I feel
sometimes, and I think it showed yesterday that when we were trying to press, I thought that sometimes only some of the players would press and some of the players would not press, and I think that what's the point of doing that? I mean, everyone hunts in packs and presses as a team, or you don't press at all. You know what I mean? It's either one way or the other. You can't do it half-assed.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's true.
And I thought some of the pressing yesterday was like that. It was.
Especially in the second half. I completely agree with you. I think I agree with that. And that's the whole thing. I remember under the Pochettino era when the press was so intense, but if 1 or 2 players were off it, then it could completely undermine the whole system. And that's how it can work in modern football, especially with it so intense, so physical.
If only 1 or 2 players are pressing and the rest of them are not pressing, it just takes those 2 players out of the game pretty much.
You mean the opposite way? If 1 or 2 players are not pressing, and the rest of the team is pressing.
Yeah, sorry.
It's completely true. And then all of a sudden you can find pockets of space, and it's so easy to play around it. And you need everyone to be together in that press. And I think in the first half we were, and you saw how high up the pitch Doherty was in that first half, really near Bale, but he couldn't keep it up. Another tweet here from Uche. I don't know. I hope I'm saying that right. Uche says, "Lest we forget." And here's a picture of Dyer and the Carroll handball, which one obviously cost us earlier in the season.
I actually feel though that's more of a handball than the one yesterday.
Probably, definitely, actually, that probably was more of. I think they're both not handballs, but I think that was probably more of a handball. Benza says, "Do you think that our attack is the only thing giving us a chance to get top 4, or is it all a team performance and the defence is part of the reason we have hope?"
I think it's team performance. You've got the attack, you've got the midfield as well, who's vitally important to us. And I actually genuinely believe if we had Reguilon and Aurier on from the start, or even just one of them, I thought it would have been a much different game.
It would have been, more easy to manage. And you've got to think our defence was still actually now sitting, in terms of goals conceded, first least in the league. So you've got to say, in that sense, that the structure is okay. It's just, I think, these defensive mistakes that cost us a lot. It's usually 1 or 2 moments, and it costs us big time.
Yeah.
And that's what costs us. But I think, in general, the defensive structure that we have when we go into a low block, I think we don't concede. I think it's difficult because obviously when you go into a low block and then you encourage a team onto you, it's obviously a lot harder to watch and especially for your heart rate
It's
and
like
for the
panic
nerves.
stations all the time.
It's always panic stations. I agree with that. And when you're not pressing hard up the pitch and you're allowing them to come onto you, it's bad. But I think in terms of how many chances, clear-cut chances we tend to concede, it's not too many unless we make a really bad individual error and then all of a sudden it undermines everything. But I think in the defensive structure of the team isn't too bad. We just need to improve some of the individuals and we might be okay.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. We've got super chats here from Dinesh. This says, talking about ESPN, he's like, they hate Jose because of it they bash Spurs. Do you reckon that's the case?
No, it was before Jose or doing it. I've always done it at ESPN. They've always done it under Poch. They just disrespect us, ESPN.
But, and then it was that few months ago when they came out just completely mocking Harry Kane's voice.
Yeah, that was it was off air, but still, that was also really bad. That was also a really bad situation.
We've got another super chat here from AT saying, my offside rule, compare feet only. What do you reckon about that?
I like that. I think forget the whole top of the body. I agree with that. Compare feet only. I've got no problem with that whatsoever. If your feet are onside, you're onside. I think that's a good rule. I like it. Let's get that trending.
Get that trending.
All right,
great rule.
Joe,
go on. Let me just look at this headline from the Times. It says, gang of 4 misfire, but top 4 still in sight for lucky Tottenham. Do you reckon that's fair?
I think I think it's a bit unfair to say we completely misfired because I think we did take the lead and I thought we were linking up pretty well in the first half. But I think we did get lucky. And I can't deny that. But I agree we are banging the race for top 4. We're banging it now. If we can win on the weekend and make it 3 wins, Chelsea are playing Everton on the weekend, who are currently 4th and 5th.
Yeah.
So
Man U, Man City.
And Man U, Man City. So if we get another win against Palace, which is not beyond the realms of possibility by any stretch, it really puts us in a very dangerous position. Really dangerous position for the other top teams.
Can Leeds get a result at West Ham this weekend?
It would be unlikely, but you never know. You never know what Leeds are going to turn up, do you? So they might turn up and get a result, and they might get battered. But they could put, West Ham have got a lot of other tough games coming up. So even if they do get a win, I expect them to drop points.
Yeah.
Some other games for sure. Joe on Twitter says, when we were top of the league, we won games that we didn't deserve to win. And saying it wasn't pretty, but the result is all that matters. Then we lost that attribute with games like Wolves, Brighton and Fulham, and then their man. However, I see it coming back now. Well, it was only 1 win, so I thought we played well against Burnley, and I know we got a bit lucky yesterday, but I wouldn't say we have to show it consistently first before I believe that we have that back for sure. Dylan Southerly says, what is your opinion about the report about George Mendes doing most of our business this summer as he's friends with people at clubs like he was with Wolves? I guess, well, he was instrumental in the deals for Doherty and for Vinicius, wasn't he? So, I mean, I don't know. Look, I think Vinicius has been okay. Doherty hasn't been great. Look, if he has good clients if he can get us good players for good prices, I'm happy with it.
George Mendes is all in bed with Wolves, isn't he?
Yeah, he was saying that as well.
Right.
But they're saying he could be very instrumental in the summer for us getting deals over the line and stuff like for players.
Who knows, man?
I don't know.
Who knows? I got a message here from Ronnie. Talking about the offside rule. He said offside rule should be if any part of the attacker's body is behind the defender, it's onside, so the attacker gets the advantage.
Yeah, I don't mind that either. Because people always say like, oh, you're just drawing the line somewhere else, and if that happens, you're just going to be annoyed that you should be annoyed the inches are being drawn somewhere else as opposed to online. But if you're not in line with the defender at all by an inch, I can stomach that. If you're literally in line with the defender but you're offside by an inch, I can't really stomach that. It's a bit different. And I think it's a lot easier to stomach being when a player is completely ahead of the defender, even if it's by an inch. I think that's fine.
I completely agree, man. I mean, these hairline fractures for offside is just like, it's just too much. I mean, they need to change something. They really do.
But some will come back to you and say that will still happen. It'll just be line drawn somewhere else.
Yeah, but at least like they're saying either feet are onside or some part of the body's onside, something to give us a bit of normality back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because at the moment it's just ridiculous.
Look at this. This is a headline from the Star. This is and failed.
And failed. I love that. 5 losses in a row for them.
5 losses at home in a row. Salah hauled off at 60 minutes as well.
That was an interesting one. I wonder why that happened. Because Salah has been a top goal scorer of the season. He's pretty much been one of the main rays of light for
Apparently
most of the season.
He kicked off when he got subbed off.
Not surprised at the moment. They're saying our mics are a bit low. I don't know about.
Are they? We need to speak closer into mic.
All right.
All
right. Let's get. Go on. What's it saying? Hallelujah. That's a terrible headline. Oh, that's horrific.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. Hallelujah.
Show this.
Hallelujah. Delighted Delhi is back with a bang.
Oh, that's horrific. That is a horrific headline, man. That is shocking. They get paid to do that.
What do you expect?
Yeah, fair enough. A cheap pun. That's so cheap. Did you ever see that?
At least they're talking positively, though.
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't bash them too much. It wasn't as bad as that one at the World Cup back in 2014. It was when James Rodriguez scored. Did you ever see that one?
No.
Rodriguez scored that great volley in one of the games.
Yeah, I remember the goal.
And the headline the next day was, the name's Bond. James Rodriguez. Like the worst headline I've ever seen.
Surely it should be the name's Rod. James Rod.
No, the name's Bond.
No,
James.
but I'm saying that's what it should be.
It was ridiculous. I've never seen such a bad headline in my life. But I tell you what, that's really poor, that one.
Okay, this is the headline from the Daily Mail saying, De Gea snubbed. Do you think...
De Gea snubbed?
Do you think De Gea's passed it?
I don't think he's passed it. I know he's has
do you reckon
been,
Henderson should be number 1?
He has been off it for a couple of years, but I feel like De Gea, if he got like a renewed challenge, like he went to a bit like a different club, I think he could regain that form again. I think he's just grown sterile at that club. As it
stands, though, do you reckon Henderson should be taking that number 1 spot at United?
Yeah, I think Henderson at the moment is doing a better job when he's played. So I think he's probably worth it at the moment, because De Gea is really, really... People talk about Lloris being off form. Like De Gea's been off form for like 2-3 years now. And that's like his lack of consistency. I think he's kind of lost that motivation, not challenging near the top as much as he was at the beginning of his United career. And I think and especially a few failed moves to Madrid. He nearly got those moves in a failed fax machine, wasn't it? That stopped him. And then he's consistently bailed them out. But I think at the moment he's kind of lacking in that kind of extra motivation when you're challenging near the top. I know they're second, but they're not really in the title race or anything like that.
Who would you say top 5 goalkeepers in the Premier League are at the moment?
At the moment, I think you've got Edison and Alisson. I think you've got Emiliano Martinez probably at the moment, who's up there. I think you've got who else? Who else? Is Areola in there? He's having a good
can't
season.
Put Areola top 5. Maybe Pope.
Nick Pope, you can probably put in there.
Would you not put Lloris?
And let me look at the keepers.
Lloris, Leno.
I think Lloris is probably better than Mendy. Yeah, I think I would put Lloris in there. I think he's better than Fabianski, definitely better than Pickford. Kasper Schmeichel, you could potentially put him in there.
Kasper Schmeichel is a top keeper.
He's a good keeper, Kasper. But I think also he makes mistakes, which people
Everyone
look
makes
over.
Mistakes.
That's what I know. But it seems like whenever Lloris makes a mistake, it's like zoomed in on.
Yeah.
And like he's always finished. Every time he makes a mistake, Lloris, he's finished. And then no one can ever just say he's made a mistake. But I think Lloris probably does make the top 5, actually. He probably does make the top 5.
So we're saying Alisson, Edison.
Yeah, Alisson, Edison, Martinez,
Lloris and Pope.
And Pope or Kasper. I think, yeah, Pope probably. Pope just shades it.
Someone in the comments said Rui Patricio is very underrated as well.
He's underrated, but he also he makes too many mistakes.
Guaita, people are saying.
I like Guaita as well, also a solid keeper. I think Lloris is better than
Carl Darlow.
Only against Spurs.
Literally.
Only against Spurs. One thing Kasper Schmeichel, though, has one big advantage. He's a lot better with his feet than Lloris is, which he's really good with his feet. In terms of he's got a great side volley, which he aims at the forward players really good and really nicely.
Would you take Kasper Schmeichel at Spurs to replace Lloris?
Yeah.
Would you rather him or Pope?
I think I'd rather Pope.
Who would command a bigger fee? Probably Schmeichel, right?
Probably Schmeichel, although
They're
Schmeichel's older.
Age. I know.
I think Schmeichel's older. How old is Nick Pope? I actually think Nick Pope's older than we think he is, I think. Nick Pope. Is he? Is he in his? Is he?
I
25
swear,
or
if
is
Jordan
he 30?
Pickford plays for England in the Euros this summer, I'm done.
He's still number one, isn't he? He's
I'm
28.
done
Nick
if he
Pope.
plays.
He's 28.
28,
Nick
and
Pope.
how old
you
Schmeichel?
think you think Nick Pope's like a bit younger, but he's not. He's 28. Casper, I think he's in his 30s. Must be 34. Yeah,
Wow,
he's actually
34.
he's older than Hugo.
Cassius
Isn't
Schmeichel's 34.
he? Same age as Hugo. So I think there's no point replacing Hugo with another aging keeper.
How the hell is Cassius Schmeichel 34?
I know. Time flies.
What
He's
the
34.
hell?
34.
And let's just
Sam
look at
Johnston? I don't think so.
No, not Sam Johnston. This is the last one. It is from the Daily Fail. Parker's fuming over killer VAR. And that's it. That's the last headline we got for you today.
Yeah. Parker fuming, and I don't blame him. There's Ali with his
Yeah.
celebration.
You try to recreate it in the thumbnail.
I successfully recreated it.
But look, everyone, keep smashing that like button. Keep smashing that subscribe button.
We'll
We've
go
got
through
nearly 600 viewers, but only 187 likes. So
Come
you
on,
guys
guys.
know what to do. Just scroll down, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. The We Are Tottenham army is completely unrivaled. I know you got it in you guys. Come on.
Let's look at some more tweets. We've got loads more tweets to look at. Benzir says, do you think that Sanchez and Toby is similar to the situation with Zuma and Thiago Silva at the beginning of the season? I don't know what that means.
Say that. Read it out again.
Do you think that Sanchez and Alderweireld is similar to the situation with Zuma and Thiago Silva at the beginning of the season? In what, in a good way or a bad way?
What was the situation with?
They were playing together, I guess. I don't know. They were playing well. I don't know. I'm not sure what he means. I don't know if he means in a positive way or a negative way. I'm not sure what he means by
I'm
that.
not too sure about that either.
That's Tottenham says, be honest, do you think it should have been disallowed? I don't think it should have. Yeah, we've gone through that. We definitely don't think the goal should have been disallowed. Kieran Abbott says, I think the reason it was disallowed was due to where it was. If he did the same thing in his own box, it wouldn't have been illegal due to his hands being in a natural position. But for some reason, it isn't the same for the final third. Yeah, that's clear because there's a difference between attacking phase and defensive phase for handball. Unfortunately, that's just the rule. Coys says, in my opinion, I think we can go on a good run of form which could help us push on for fourth. Yesterday might not have been the best performance, but everyone is forgetting how well we played in the first half. I think we need to be positive and get ready for Palace. It is true, if we do get that second goal in this first half, I think obviously the game is a lot easier to manage, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but that's the reason why everyone was panicking yesterday, including myself, because we didn't get that second goal and we completely gave the advantage over to Fulham. That was the problem.
Yeah. But I think it is overlooked that we did play well in the first half and people just forget that.
Yeah, including me.
Jake Paul, not that Jake Paul, I don't think, but Jake Paul says, has this been deleted? It says this tweet has been, I can see it still, but I'll just read it. 3 points, but poor performance. I don't understand why we have changed the tactic. And I'm part of the bus again. And also between Reguilon and Aurier versus Doctor Davis, there's such a big difference. I think our two centre halves. Did I read that one out before? I don't know. I think I've got deja vu. Brandon says the fullbacks were the difference last night. Aurier and Reguilon provide quality going forward and back with energy and pace. Unlike Doherty, who was hitting people on their boats in the river Thames with his crosses, and Davis, who has a phobia of crossing the halfway line. I think you're right on that. I think Doherty's quality from crosses is really lacking, and I think Davis as well was probably told not to go so far forward. He doesn't really provide that width that Reguilon can. So I think the fullbacks, especially in the second half, that drop off in quality was definitely evident.
Yeah, no, 100%. Got another super chat here from Mintu Lee.
Come on.
This morning after show format is the most English thing on the internet. Drinking coffee, reading papers, have a chat. Great show, Coit.
You want a cup of Mintu Lee? Get the full English.
It'll be more English if we had tea.
I think for the next one, I'm going to have a full English. We'll have me and Ben having sausage, baked beans and eggs and everything. And kosher, obviously, yeah. Charlie THFC with a tweet here. Big up, Charlie. He says, we are Tottenham TV. Is this the problem with some of our fan base? And he's tagged us in a tweet. It says, from Joey, comparing after we won versus after we won. After we won versus after we won. Honestly, it's like some people would see us relegated if it meant the manager leaving, and if this doesn't show you that Mourinho's tactics stifled us for X amount of months, then I don't know what will. And then another tweet from Elena Nicola. I think she's from the Football Terrace, says, Is this now acceptable? Question mark. Do people realise we're winning through luck? Is winning now unacceptable? Ben, I get what she's saying, that there was a bit of luck to that performance yesterday, but I don't know. Like, we've played. Like, is it acceptable to play well and not win as well? Like, you know what I mean?
But look, this is what happened. This is football at the end of the day. Not the team that deserves to win doesn't always win. And look at some of the performances we've had this season, where we've been the much better side and we haven't won. So it swings and roundabouts, you got to give and take in football sometimes. Sometimes our luck's going for you, sometimes it's not going for you.
Yeah.
More times than not, it's not been going for us this season, so we're due a bit of luck sometimes.
I agree with you. And to be fair, although we obviously let the advantage slip in the second half and we allowed Fulham onto us, we did put ourselves in a position where we were winning, and you have to give us credit for that. Like, so to the way we played in the first half and the chances we created, we put ourselves in a position that if luck falls for us, we win. In terms of, if we didn't put ourselves in that position, then we weren't going to win that game. So I think we got to get more credit for the way we played in the first half in that sense.
Look, I came out and completely bashed that performance yesterday after the game, which was kind of probably a bit too reactionary at the time, because I was just really stressed out with that second half.
I think you were right to say that we were poor in the second half, because I think we were. But I think it was easy to forget that we were good in the first half when we were putting ourselves in a position to win the game and to ride our luck a bit.
I think I was a bit too harsh on the team in the instant match reaction yesterday, but I do think that the majority of the points I was making were correct, but I just think I might have taken just a tad too far.
And this guy, Jacob Joseph, I've seen him on Twitter, he's literally anti-Jose propaganda.
I can't stand these people who want Spurs to lose just for Jose to be sacked.
Like, this guy was saying on his thing, he doesn't want us to get top four because it might mean Jose staying.
But surely that means he's doing a good job.
I know. I don't understand this mentality. But he says, if this doesn't show you that Mourinho's tactics stifled us for X amount of months, I don't know what will. I mean, how does the performance yesterday show that? I don't get it. I don't know why yesterday's performance shows that he's been stifling us.
What he's saying is that, yeah, Jose just goes 1-0 up and reverts to 2 banks of 4 and parks the bus, and it invites too much pressure onto us. That's what he's saying.
I know, but I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's the case that we've intentionally always dropped into that low block because we were all the time.
But that's what I'm saying. It's lazy. It's lazy for supporters. It's lazy for journalists to just revert to that. Oh, it's Jose's problem. Jose's the only problem.
Yeah, because if we had control over our pressing and we could just say, oh, let's just press for 90 minutes. It's easy. Like, we're just going to do that for 90 minutes. Then Poch would still be in a job.
Agreed.
So
exactly.
That's the whole thing, isn't it?
Like, people got a very, very short memory. They're like, oh, we never did this under Poch. Oh, it was never like this under Poch. You're forgetting that we didn't win an away game for over a year. And not only that, pressing for the last year and a half, maybe even a bit longer, was completely non-existent. We got to that Champions League final, which masked over all the problems in the squad.
And that wasn't through pressing. That wasn't through a high pressing game.
It was counter-attacking football, that.
Exactly.
And look.
And lumping it to Llorente in the semi-final.
Exactly. So I
think
people have a very, very short memory of how it did end under Pochettino. And that's the facts.
Exactly. And clearly we're in a process. We're still in a process of rebuilding this team, and we're still in a process of freshening it up. And we're not. I think this squad is still not at a stage where we have the right, as I was saying before, we have that right profile player to keep up this high intensity, high pressure press for 90 minutes. And this is what's leading to these performances where we're having good phases and then bad phases. I think because we can't keep it intense. Whereas under peak Pochettino, when we had Walker, Rose, all these players, Dembele, Wanyama, all physical, and also Kane at the top of his peak physical attributes, Dele and all these things, we had the right profile to keep that intensity in the press for 90 minutes. Yeah. And as those players got older and everything, and as the squad aged, they weren't able to do it the whole time. That's why the squad's in the situation where it is now, where the tactics, we couldn't keep up those tactics for 90 minutes.
It's actually interesting because under Poch, we went through like waves of pressing. So at the beginning, we were pressing like animals, but we were burnt out towards the end of the season. Mm-hmm. And then then we went into a phase where the peak fitness, absolute peak fitness, where we could do it for a whole season. Mm-hmm. And then I think it only lasted for about one season where we did it the whole season without tiring out in the season. And then it just went gradually down and down and down to non-existent.
Exactly. And then now Mourinho came in and was like, why can't you press for 90 minutes? I'm like, well, we haven't been pressed for 90 minutes for 2 years, mate. I don't know where you've been.
Yeah. And also, people people talk about like people that want Jose to say, "Oh, you're Jose sexual this, Jose sexual that," but like, no one is saying Jose is completely blameless. No one is saying that at all, because obviously Jose has his flaws, and obviously we point out Jose's flaws when he makes mistakes and stuff like that. But just because we want him to stay in the job, we want him to be successful, doesn't mean we can't see his flaws and can't see where he's done wrong.
I completely
and
agree.
People don't get that point. People think that, oh, you don't see no wrong with Jose. Oh, you think he's the perfect manager and all this kind of stuff. Like, come on, man.
I agree with you. And I think all these people twerking for Nagelsmann in there on Twitter is just embarrassing, really.
It is embarrassing.
Nate Hengen on Twitter says, to be honest, I believe Sanchez had a really good game yesterday. I can think of at least 2 or 3 times he saved us from conceding. However, if that goal wasn't disallowed, then I wouldn't be praising him as much, as that goal would have been his fault. That's pretty much what we said.
Yeah,
I would say.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why that I'm finding it hard to look past that mistake. I really am.
Well, we should try. And look, if against Palace he has another good game and he doesn't make mistakes, and you've got to say he's in good form. But if he does make a mistake against Palace and it costs us, then yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm all for. I want him to do well at Spurs, Davinson Sanchez. I'm a Tottenham fan. I want every player to do well. It's not that I don't like Davinson Sanchez. I'm just pointing out his flaws at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, when he's committing all these errors, it's hard to look past it when he's been doing it all season. But I just because he's had good 2 performances, we want him to carry that on. Rovshan says, people say Harry Kane wants to leave. That is why he didn't play well last couple of games. And I think such stupid, meaningless idea why people forgot his strike against Burnley just 1 game before. And if people look at his posts, he says big win ahead, great win. I think anyone.
So does that mean Salah wants to leave Liverpool because he had a bad game yesterday?
Anyone who's saying Kane is not playing well because he wants to leave is just stupid. Cameron Franquera says, who do you play out of Gio and Dele when Gio is fit? Also realised last night that we struggled so much without Reguilon and Aurier. Without them, our attack has a major drought of balls through to the attack. When Lo Celso is fit, do you pick him ahead of Dele?
I think it's a squad game, man. I don't think strongest 11. It's hard to say, isn't it? Because we haven't seen Dele back to his best for so long. We haven't seen Lo Celso for a while as well. So, I mean, look, it's hard to say. I think you got to give them both a chance and see who comes out better.
Yeah, I agree. I actually think in terms of the Jose system, I think Lo Celso might be more suited. But I think Dele proved yesterday he can do that job, and he can do it effectively when given the opportunity. So if he can keep that up, then I think Dele definitely has more of a goal threat than Lo Celso. But I think in terms of a team performance and having
they can
both
play in the same team anyway.
Yeah, for sure. But I think in terms of having a consistent team performance of like pressing for 90 minutes and stuff, I think Lo Celso might be more.
I think Dele, if he ups his fitness levels, he could do it for 90 minutes. I genuinely believe that.
Yeah, I think you're right. He just needs to get more playing time, doesn't he? Aravin says, with this defence, Lloris still has 9 clean sheets this season. He has made mistakes, but still. Is that something to look at? 9 clean sheets after 26 games? Not terrible. It's not great, but it's not amazing, but it's not terrible.
Mate, with Dyer and Sanchez in front of you all season,
it's probably an achievement at that point. Abenza says, do you think that Sanchez and Alderweireld is similar? Oh, we read that one already. We keep tweeting the same thing. Finley Evans says, if you were allowed to only sign 1 player to improve the team this summer, who would it be? I
would go for Skriniar or Sven Botman.
Skriniar or Sven Botman. Yeah, I think a centre-back has to be priority in terms of how we defend, because at the moment we are struggling at the back. I think, Skriniar would probably be...
Skriniar looks unlikely now, so probably a Sven Botman. And the Sven Botman thing I really like, because obviously he's an Ajax academy player, and we all seen how they've worked out in terms of Vertonghen, Alderweireld. Sanchez is not an Ajax academy player. He was only at Ajax for a year, so it's not the same thing.
Let's go with more tweets. Brandon says, I think last night's game showed the beauty of having a brilliant front 4. It's rare that they all play well at the same time, but it only takes a couple of them to win the game for us. Last night it was Son and Ali, but Sunday it could be Bale and Kane. And I think that's absolutely right. I think you need players to step up at different times. Not everyone could be on top of their game all the time. And, I remember very clearly, like, when we remember that season, we got Champions League under Redknapp, And like the first half of the season, like Defoe was smashing in goals and Lennon was playing really well. And then they dropped off second half of the season. The second half, it was like Pavlyuchenko came to the fore and
was this the year we got Champions
and
League?
like yeah, that year. And
Pavlyuchenko
David Benlow
completely got it for us, didn't he?
Yeah, but
he
I'm
went,
saying different parts of the season, different players step up at different times. That's what you need. You can't have one player all the time stepping up, or you shouldn't anyway.
unless your name's Harry Kane.
Exactly, he's the only one really. Let's see.
Apart from August.
Apart from all, well, he's kind of put that hoodoo to bed. Fen W Horner says, "Hey lads, where do you think Spurs' expectation should be for this season? Love the pair of you. Come on, you Spurs. Appreciate that support,
Expectations. There's got to be go as far as we can in the cups and top 4. That's the expectation.
Yeah, I think from this point, we've put ourselves in a position where you have to be looking at least 5th or 6th at minimum in the league. But if we don't win any of the cups, obviously that's not good enough. But I think 5th or 6th and the Europa League is probably what you're thinking is realistic at this point. Obviously, what would be amazing if we got top 4 and Europa League and Carabao, that would be like unreal. Is that realistic? Probably not. But I think at the moment, either top 4 and either top 4 and no trophies, or top 4 in a Carabao, or 5th or 6th in the Europa League. That's probably it has to be one of those two.
I don't really care where we finish in the league if we win the Europa League.
Yeah,
I genuinely don't. At this stage, unless we're going to win the league, then what's the difference? You know what I mean?
I know, but if we get top 4 and win Europa League, it just shows consistency in the league. I think it just gives you a better platform to move off of. I mean, it doesn't make too much difference, but all it just shows is that you're a good, better quality team. That's what the difference is.
It shows that, it shows that to the outside.
Yeah, which is good, which is a good thing to show, and I think and also means
I like people underrating us anyway.
Yeah, and also means if we do get top 4, like we've had a very consistent run of getting top 4. Then last season is 6th, and this season if we're back in the top 4, it just means last season was more of a blip than it was a continuing trend.
I mean, one more year in the Europa League, we've turned back into that Europa League side.
Exactly. So it's desperate. I think either we get top 4 or that Europa League, and that's got to be the expectation. I think he's got to look. He's got to do one of those.
You know
things.
what I mean? The worst outcome for this season, in my opinion, is for us to be playing in that Europa Conference League next season.
That would be horrific. That would be horrific. I can't think of anything.
Because if we finish outside the European places in the league and win the Carabao Cup, that's exactly where we're going to be playing.
I don't want that at all. Rukon says Son would be having a better season than Kane if Kane wasn't on penalties. They both have 14 assists with 18 goals to Son and 22 to Kane, with 5 of them being penalties. Well, you got to score the penalties, don't you? You've seen City miss enough penalties, haven't you? So
City can afford to.
I think Kane and Son are playing very well. I don't know if. Even without penalties, I don't know if Son's been better than Kane. I think they've both been equally as good or very similar.
I think Kane's been better.
Tellboy says, do you think we need to use all our squad more? Harry looked tired in the second half. We should have put Vinicius on. It was interesting, actually, you say that, because didn't Mourinho not long ago say that Vinicius is going to play a few Premier League games? He did, didn't he? So is it possible we're not going to see Vinicius on Sunday?
Could be.
From the start?
Against Palace. Potentially, when you're looking at the next 3 Premier League games, Palace, Arsenal and Villa.
I mean, what game can you put Vinicius in and you're saying, oh yeah, he'll be fine in that game? Are you is there a game where you can point to where you say, I would start Vinicius?
Out of all of them, Palace is probably that one.
Exactly, out of this week. So,
out of this month,
especially if you want Kane for Zagreb and Arsenal, maybe Vinicius does start this game.
Maybe.
We'll
have to see what Jose says in his press conference.
He probably won't give anything away anyway. Spurs. Abood Spurs says, I believe that Gareth Bale was the reason for why we scored as he started the attack. Actually, he's completely right, because if you look at the start of that move, Bale actually does really well to wriggle away from 2 players and then play a really good through ball to Delhi, which started the attack. So I think he's got a very good point there, which went overlooked because everyone said Bale played badly, which we agreed with, but he did have a big role in the goal. AJ says, do you see Mourinho as our long-term manager? What would it take for that to be the case? He just needs to keep getting results. Do I see him as our long-term manager? It's tough at the moment.
I actually do.
I would say yes, but we just know with history tells us no with Mourinho. But he's saying that Spurs is his first job, that he sees it as more of a project than something that he has to win instantly.
And also, you've got to look at him at Man United. His family stayed in London. He was living in a hotel up in Manchester. It was never really the right fit for him. He always wanted to be in London. He's in London now. He knows if he gets sacked by Spurs, or if he leaves Spurs now, what other job in London is he going to get to live with his family and stuff?
Not many.
Not any.
Not any. Yeah.
Not going to go back to Chelsea. You're not going to go to Arsenal. And then who else is he going to? Not going to go anyone lower than that, is he?
Yeah. No.
So this is his last hurrah, if he wants to stay in London.
Yeah, I think you're right in that. I think you're right. So he's got to make the most of it. But yeah, I think as long as we're in a respectable position in going forward this season, if he achieves something, if he can get a couple top 4, then if he wins no cups and gets top 4 this season, what do you think? What do you think of that?
If he wins no cups and gets top 4, yeah. What do you mean? I think
it's fine.
I think it's fine. Yeah. I
mean,
mean, look,
was his main objective not to win a trophy?
I know that I know his main objective is to win a trophy, and I know we're dying for trophies as a fan base, but I still stand by that the most important thing for us is to get in that Champions League spot for next season. More important than a trophy, yeah.
We need to get the club back on track. We don't want to be going into mid-table, because you look at Arsenal now, they've won a few cups, but right now they're a mid-table side, let's be honest. You don't want to be like that.
Everyone's struggling for cash at the moment, yeah. How are we going to invest in our team if we just got a Carabao Cup without Champions League?
I agree. We need the
Champions League money. We need that revenue to keep going. Otherwise, we're going to win this. Let's say we win a Carabao Cup, don't win Europa League, finish 6th or 7th.
We no money in the summer.
We're not going to be able to attract the players, first of all. We're not going to be able to spend the money to attract the players. What top player is going to want to come and play Europa League anyway?
Exactly.
We need to be in that Champions League. Yes, we all want a trophy and we're dying for a trophy. But you got to look at it more cleverly than that.
I agree with you. I agree. And I think as well, Arsenal, their board says they're paying Champions League wages for Europa League money. And we can't afford to do that. We won't do that. So what would happen is if we keep dropping out of the Champions League or whatever, either someone's got to leave. Like someone big will probably have to leave. To be honest, that's probably going to be the situation. And I think top 4. Yeah, I think top 4. I think he's had a good season, hasn't he, Mourinho? In the end,
especially at this stage, or how far we were behind.
Yeah, exactly. Especially after the bad run being on. Thankfully now we've after those 2 wins, there is in sight, but we need to keep going. We need to
top 4 is not the priority, but being in the Champions League is the priority.
And also, obviously, Europa League ticks all the boxes for us.
Yeah.
Pierre-Emile Højbjerg Prop says clean sheet percentages in the Premier League this season. Toby Alderweireld 43.75%, Eric Dyer 28%, Sanchez 23%. Surely this just tells you that Toby is our best centre-back and needs to start every game possible, fitness permitting. Criminal not to start him when fit, in my opinion.
How long have we been saying this?
We said it ages ago, didn't we?
We've been saying it at the beginning of the season, and then I saw that, I don't know if you remember, but we saw that report from Alistair Gold when he was preparing the squad for the season and analysing the squad.
And so Dyer was
and he was Dyer is the number 1 centre-back in the squad. And both of us read that and we were like, what's going on here? Why is Dyer the number 1 centre-back in our squad? And then that was the actual case until last few weeks, really.
Yeah. And now all of a sudden I think maybe there's been a change and maybe Toby's our number 1 now because...
But how have we all seen it, but Jose is sticking with Dyer? I didn't get it, to be honest. Well, and these are some of the flaws that Jose has, and we can happily talk about them.
Well, he started to Toby with the beginning of the season, didn't he? Against Everton, he had a poor game, and then he dropped him for a while.
Was Dyer not playing? Oh, he was suspended.
It was Dyer. No, it was Dyer and Toby, wasn't it? It was Dyer and Toby the first game of the season, and then we didn't see Toby again until that West Ham game, I think, where we drew 3-3. And then we drew 3-3, and then we went Toby and Dyer for a while.
Yeah, and then we didn't see him after that Leicester game, wasn't it?
And then up until that Leicester game, then we didn't. Then we see him a bit fleetingly, but now he's come back into it again. It's difficult to say why Toby hasn't been a mainstay. All I can say is we've had a lot of games, and he's getting on a bit, so maybe he can't play every game. But also, I would say there's games where he could have played where he's been on the bench and Jose hasn't picked him, and he's got to take criticism for that because clearly I think our defence is in a lot better place, despite the fact that maybe physically he gets caught out a few times and maybe he's not as sharp as he used to be. I think our defence is definitely better with him in it than without it because there's more control there. I feel there's just a more sense of calm and people know their jobs more than when it's Dyer and Sanchez.
It's up there, you know what I mean, with Toby. It's up there.
When it's Dyer and Sanchez, like for example. Think about that second goal against West Ham. Yeah, that just doesn't happen. I think if Toby's there, those two were just all over the place. No communication. They didn't know what they were doing together. But if Toby's there, I think it's a bit of calm. Everyone knows their role. I think it's a bit more settled back four than when it's Dyer and Sanchez.
Do you think we let Ian go a bit too early?
Nah, I don't know. I saw him against Arsenal and he did struggle a bit, I felt.
Yeah.
I think he's getting his
Do you not
goal.
think if he's in a better side with a better structure, he
I
could
think
do a
you're
bit
right.
better?
I think he would have been better than he was last season under
Because
Poch.
the way I'm looking at it is like, obviously, you put Toby next to any of our centre-backs, they make them better. So do you not think Jan has it up there as well to do that? To play alongside a Sanchez or play alongside a Dyer to make them better as well?
Potentially. I do think his legs were badly going in that last season. I don't think, obviously, he's had that concussion thing well worked against him, and also the fact that we were just horrific defensively wise in our last season in terms of protection we're giving our back four, all contributed badly. Could he? Obviously, I don't know if Toby and Jan would have worked this season. Probably not.
No, I'm not. I think it's either Toby and Jan with another.
What, in a 3?
No. Toby or Jan with
Toby
another.
or Jan. I thought you said Toby and Jan.
Toby or Jan.
Toby or Jan with another. Could Jan and Sanchez have worked this season? I think Sanchez probably played his best football next to Jan Vertonghen.
Yeah.
Could Dyer and Jan work? I don't know. I don't think we let go of Jan. I just don't think too early. I think we didn't replace him. That was a big issue.
That was criminal.
Yeah, we just didn't replace him.
It's criminal. How can you have a player like Jan for so long
and not replace him?
What a player,
yeah. We
majestic player, and you don't replace him. It's criminal, man.
We'll put all our eggs in the Sanchez basket for him to improve.
I think we're running out of time, guys.
All right, last few tweets. Joey THFC said, for the defence, for defence, what about Ramos on a free if Mourinho works his magic and pays high wages for 2 to 3 years, no transfer fee, and Milenkovic for 25 million? Then Toby Ramos could rotate the leader of the centre-back partnership. I don't know about Ramos. I don't think it's ever going to happen. Fen Horner says, realistically, does Bell have a long-term future with Spurs considering the loan?
What's long-term, though? He's already 31.
2-3 years?
I would love to say yes. Look, I think jury's still out, man. He's played well last couple of games. Yesterday wasn't great. In the Europa League against West Ham and against Burnley, absolutely brilliant. So let's just see how he goes rest of the season, man, and make a decision then.
Brandon says, episode 26 of the Jose out agenda now. Title, relying on VAR and reverting to a low block. Disgraceful that fans want us to fail just so Jose fails. To support the club, you have to support the coach. He rotated and still won the game, but still gets criticised. I agree with that. I think Jose did well in overall. Obviously, he got lucky that in that really bad period we got that VAR decision and we didn't concede. But I think he used the squad in a decent way, and we did get the result. And I thought in the first half especially we played well, and he deserves credit for that. And he has to use the squad with all the games coming up, so I don't begrudge him too much. But he did get a bit lucky.
All right, so I think that is it for today. That is the end of the morning after show. If you enjoyed the stream and want more, do smash that like button, smash that like button and smash that subscribe button. That is the morning after show, and we delved very deep into that 1-0 win against Fulham. Player ratings will be with you very shortly, as well as the 5 takeaways. We'll be going live as soon as the Jose press conference is released. So come and join us for the press conference reaction, where it is also your chance to have your say on the upcoming game, Crystal Palace at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Sunday 7:15 kickoff. Thank you very much for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
come on you Spurs.